Well, how do you design an education system that creates a better world for the future? It's a big question, and it's one that the UNESCO report that's been published today is trying to answer. We're here standing overlooking the skyline of London, a city renowned for its educational institutions, but of course other cities around the world might not necessarily have the benefits that people studying here in London enjoy. So let's speak to one of those involved in the report, Dr. Sakina Yacoubi, who is part of the Afghan Institute of Learning. Dr. Yacoubi, from your experience, what does somewhere like Afghanistan need to improve the education system there?
Thank you very much. I really appreciate you inviting me here. Thank you, Ben. And it's wonderful to meet you, first of all. And second, I think this opportunity for me is great because I want to tell to the world that really education is the key issue for really changing life and transforming people. And especially in an area that if you want to bring peace in education, peace in a country, you really need to have your system of education is implemented in a way that the people will benefit from it. For example, what we are doing in Afghan Institute of Learning, since I started in a refugee camp and now it's 25 years, we are working in area of education with girls and women. And what we try to do through education to give them, build their capacity and try to empower them. And also through the system of education, what we do, we don't go and implement program. We ask the people. That is one of the success that AIL has. We ask the people what do they need. And when they ask, they tell us what they need, then according to their culture and according to their tradition and according to their religion, then we implement the program. And through that, we build a relationship with the people. And the relationship is something that they start trusting us. And one of the issues that we have today in the world that people don't trust each other. And when they don't trust, the moral, the value, the ethics goes down, and people like really do not have this pillar that they should have as an individual to be responsible for them. And education is not just education is for everybody, but you see, education is a human rights issue. Is the right of every individual to be educated. So why we are not really doing that? And we have a difference. We provide education for the one who we can reach, but the one who we cannot reach, we do not provide.
Dr. Yacoubi, what you're saying is sparking quite a few questions. If you're watching on the Facebook Live page, do feel free to put your questions, and I'll put as many of them as we possibly can to Sakina Yacoubi. The first one from Wendy. She asks, would population control help enable the programme?
Absolutely. Right now, that is one issue that right now we are combining health education, economy, moral and value, all of those things together as a chain going together. One of the reasons that we have mortality morbidity rate is so high in Afghanistan, we are one of the second largest mortality morbidity rate we have in Afghanistan. So for us to really try to control this, what we do, we are trying to really teach the people how to prevent child abuse, how to prevent having more children, how to prevent having, instead of like having two, not having 6 or 7, because the less they have, the better they will educate them, the better the standard of their life will be.
There's a point made by Lupi, who is watching, and says it depends whether they teach unbiased, equal education on history, culture, religion, as well as the main subjects. What would you say to that? Is the provision of education doing that as far as you can see in Afghanistan?
Well, in Afghanistan, I really think that one of the things that we miscalculate people knowledge. People are very knowledgeable about different things, especially according to their culture, according to their environment, according to their custom. If we really give them the floor, give them, listen to them, ask them the question, they will provide for us a sort of a direction that we can take those direction, and we sort of renovate them and try to bring to the update system and try to provide for them. And I think that is really we are doing, and that is very important.
There's an interesting point made by Victoria on the Facebook page. She says, are children safe if they're going for an education? She says parents don't want their child being shot just for seeking out an education. I wonder whether she's thinking perhaps of the example of Malala Yousafzai elsewhere, and how safe is it for parents to send their children for education in Afghanistan?
Question, and I appreciate that very much from this individual, and I thank her, because yes, the situation in Afghanistan is not safe. As a result, we spend a lot of our money for just providing security, providing transportation to bring children to school and take them back, because if they come by themselves through walk, and a lot of things could happen to them.
So this is something that's often taken for granted in a lot of countries, children walking to school, cycling to school. So you're saying that at the moment still can't happen in Afghanistan?
Yes, in Afghanistan is every day there is a suicidal bomb, there is a threat to school, there is threat to the children, there is kidnapping. So these are the issues that really our country by themselves could not take care of it. We need a lot of assistance from different international community to help us, because we don't have enough financial situation to support the security system. So we need to have other international organizations look after this, because the children are so vulnerable and they are every day being attacked.
And give us an idea of the sort of security that you have to have in place at the schools there.
Well, I think first of all, the school needs to have a building. The school needs to have a building. The school needs to have protection. The school needs to have water. The school needs to have facility for bathroom. The school needs to have a wall surrounded. The school needs to have a clinic inside. The school needs to be a standard that the children in that compound.
I mean the specifics. You talk about the security.
Security, yes. And these are the issues that is really help the security. That the students could not go for after water. They do not have to go to the bathroom. They are inside the compound, and then we have a doorkeeper. So those are the issues that we must take in consideration in order for children to be safe. Yes.
Roger asks, is religion a big part of the education there?
Well, Afghanistan, we are Muslim, we have been Muslim, we are not today or yesterday become Muslim. It is part of our culture, it's part of our tradition. We want to be a Muslim, but Islam is a wonderful religion. It is really advanced, it's really encourage education, it's encourage women's education. So it's these things that you hear about Islam as a religion, these are nonsense. So religion has nothing to do. As a matter of fact, religion is a very good guide for us to be independent, to be smart, intelligent, and to be equal in justice.
It's interesting, just bringing a point from Eliudi from Tanzania, who says, stop the fighting first. Some children don't go to school because of the war. I suppose it's a chicken and egg situation. What comes first? Does the education bring peace, or does the peace bring education?
I think it's work together, hand by hand. I really believe that if we want to bring peace in the country, we must educate the people, we must educate the society, because they are ignorant, they do all kinds of things and trying to bring war into the country. If people are intelligent, if they have critical thinking, if they ask questions, they will really coordinate and work together and bring peace. And right now, nobody is really asking question why we are in war, why we have a trouble. So if you bring education, people will ask question, and asking question is mean that they will know that they should not like a sheep follow somebody who give them some money. Yes, the country is in poverty. We must create job. We must give them opportunity. But the issue is that we want peace. People are tired of peace. People are tired of war. It's 30 years of war, so people are exhausted. Okay. So we need peace.
Okay, Sakina, I wonder, can you hang on for a little bit longer? We'd like to come back and talk to you a bit more.
Yes,
we've got more than 2,000 people watching this. Let me just quickly round up some of the things people are saying. Rosa says, stop the hate and educate. Carl Sang says, education is for everyone. A lot of them picking up on the sentiments that you've expressed. And Jules says, all children should be given an education. Race or creed does not come into it. Give all children the right to learn. They are the world's future. Really echoing the sentiments that you've put forward and the sentiments of the UNESCO report. As I say, Dr. Yacoubi, we'd like to come back and talk to you a little bit more, but for now I'd like to introduce you to someone else who's also been involved in the report, just waiting over here with a couple of friends, colleagues. I was going to call them colleagues, but they are his friends. This is Mudije Kapanga, who is a tribal chief from Papua New Guinea. He's been involved in the UN report. With him also is Mark, who is translating and accompanying him on the trip. And just in case you thought we had several cameras, well, actually you're right, we've got another camera here. This is Jean-Marie, who's filming a documentary following Mudije around on his travels. So, Mudije, first, the most striking thing people will notice is the clothing, the costume you're wearing. Tell me about the significance of it. And actually, I should say, Mudije doesn't speak English, but bear with us because Mudije will answer and then Mark is going to translate for him. Off you go.
Okay, thank you. This all Papua New Guinea me play got culture, custom blo me play. All got have blo war too. All you got custom na culture, so all you got meaningful. This culture blo me man lo Papua New Guinea na tribe blo me huli man sa werim village wholesome. Mangi kamap man me plus ang grow him hair, nang grow him finish. Okay, teacher blo me play. Talk right lo, okay, you make him awesome, me plan bien him talk blo teacher. So grow him finish now. Some of him na cut him na put him feather or village awesome. All this time blo boost.
Well, all around the world people have different cultures, and I'm from Papua New Guinea. I'm from a tribe called the Huli tribe, and I'm very proud of my culture. I'm wearing what we call bilas in Papua New Guinea. It's related to our initiation period. It means that I'm a real man. When I was younger, I was in the bush for some months to grow my hair, to get the wigs that I'm wearing now. And it means that I'm like a kind of I would say a teacher, or I'm someone initiated of my culture, and I'm like an adult, and it's very important. And that's what I'm wearing now, and everything comes from the bush. Everything is from the nature.
Tell me about the education that you had growing up.
Thank you. Education bro me. City or town education good bra. Or studied or computer na right. Lo countryside lo community hard life. No got electricity na no got computer too. Education education. Primary school or elementary equal university all the time study. So me like awesome. All the help. Lombus or countryside or town, you must look at him same level, meeting him awesome.
I had a very simple education. I come from the remote area, from the bush, and I had a very limited education. And that's my wish. I'm dreaming that in the future, all the children could have a good education, and not only from in the city. I wish that we could have a primary school and even a secondary school and a university in remote area. Like this, the children could learn more. That's what I wish.
Just to let you know, if you're joining us on this Facebook Live, we are talking about the UNESCO report on education and improving education and global education and education systems around the world. Part of that is about teaching sustainability and about the environment, as well as the more traditional subjects, well, I suppose the more widespread subjects of things like numeracy, literacy, maths, English, and so on. And Mudije's experiences growing up in Papua New Guinea of not having a formal education. He was telling me earlier, he'd describe it as, the two have to go hand in hand, that you'd need to have the appreciation for the environment and the culture that you live in, but you also need the formal education. The two go hand in hand. So he was telling me about that. If you've got any questions for Mudije, feel free to make those on the comment section of the page, and we'll put those to Mudije. We are, as I was explaining, using Mark to translate. You may be wondering the language, whatever language we're speaking, you might not be able to hear us over the sirens. We are overlooking central London, so bear with us just a moment or two. But you may be wondering, the language that Mudije is speaking is Pidgin English, and is being translated for us by Mark. So just tell me about the involvement you had with this report. What did you contribute to it?
You explain him like one something, you make him a good player, you explain him Mino sa irita right na mi kam give mo some example.
Thank you. You missed up one pro wall. Me no come not pro wall. You missed up one pro wall. That's all. I'm me no sa read na me no sa right. That's all. Me look in education. I'm number one something. Me look sa some now. Now okay. All man boom lo UK lo tok lo education na me too. Me let put him this la tok ikam lo table.
Well, as I told you earlier, myself, I didn't get a proper education. But I'm like a kind of an example for this report, because that's what this report is talking about, people like me, people who doesn't have education. Because all of you, all the people that were talking, even you, the cameraman, you had education, you went to school. But I didn't get this chance. So I went at this conference because I wanted to talk and give, I want to just talk about my life, and the story of my life would be a good example for the people to understand what's the aim of this GM report.
There are a lot of people agreeing with your thoughts on the importance of education. Some people have been commenting. Thank you for the comments that you're sending. I'm trying to get through as many of them as I can. Usman says education is power. Monica says education is a must, and says peace from Guyana. And an interesting point here from Lynette. I'm not sure where Lynette's watching, but Lynette says school is just an indoctrination factory anyway. Best education is homeschooling with internet materials. So perhaps looking at the future and different ways of learning. I just wonder what your thoughts are on that, Modije. Better to have homeschooling with internet materials. Presumably that's not an option for everyone.
Internet as well, how you by study na you like him internet. Or kata something okay, teacher teach him you lo lesson, lo school, read, write. Or kata something you saw or kata something by easy, lo looking Facebook or internet on this lakan. You know how read, write. I had lo look how you know na put him good news too.
I think that you cannot learn everything by internet, even if it's a very interesting medium. It's not possible, because who will teach you properly how to read and write and how to get the basic knowledge about how to live together? So I think that you really need to get to school to learn how to read and write, and even to use internet. So I guess that this person learn how to use internet at school or somewhere. So I think that it's very important to get access to internet, but at the same time to get some proper education with teachers.
Sorry, forgive me. We're going to speak to Dr. Sekana Yakubi again in just a moment. But before we do, a couple of questions. One from Tati, or Tati, apologies for the pronunciation, asking what are the biggest problems you encountered on your journey? And also, Anders Andre, again, apologies for the pronunciation, asks if you like the UK, are you enjoying your time here?
Oh, thank you through time min koran lo sambla lo country mi go wandam wari lo France or Japan or mi go lo sambla mi go ran wandam wari mi kam lo UK place pro mama mi Papua Ninguni mama lo mi sindan lo UK mi tinggi mosam na mi no kam wandam wari ami ama mas lo kam na mi now me turu now me stop lo UK now.
I didn't get any troubles in the UK. Well, I have to tell you the truth. When I'm traveling in France or if I'm going to Japan, I would be worried. But when I'm in England, I'm not worried. Why? Because my mother is here. Remember that the Queen Elizabeth is also the Queen of Papua New Guineans too. And we are part of the Commonwealth, so I'm not worried. I feel home here. And I'm very happy to be in England.
Okay. And any problems you've encountered on your journey?
You got some worry loya or no got you paini some you got some little story you paini mono got
loya me no looking one bla worry loya all man mary good bla clean city na all got something good bla all man mary to quiet na peace country bro you got blessing to me looks outside.
I didn't get any problems here. I have to tell you something. I think that the English people are very lucky. I love London. I spend here just a few hours, but I think that it's very clean. People are very nice, and I find that it's a very nice place, so you should enjoy it.
I'm delighted that you have such a good impression of us. I hope that continues even if you end up taking the subway, the underground at rush hour at some point. You may see a slightly less patient side, but it's really good to see you.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Now, one pla kosen tasel mi na my last pla tok blomi.
Okay.
Me thinking wasam. One pla tok me no national level man tasel tintin blomi. Me thinking wasam. You missed a blow one pro wall. Now you must think him poor now risk. Beginning blow risk run eco 60 na beginning blow poor hard run. Or some so you must think him meeting climate 2 cents na or got something cents na ground 2 cents. So you me last minute you me put him free school. You mean no put him fee. Number one something. Me thinking awesome. Last pla talk blomiam. Thank you.
I will have a last message. You know, I'm not a big man. I don't have a big knowledge. I'm a very small man. But I just want to say that there's something which is very important for me is that we try our best that poor people can have access to the school. Because if you are rich, you can walk further, you can run and learn many things. If you are poor, it's very difficult. So I don't know a lot of things. I don't know how to read and write, but I ask all the important people, the ministers and prime ministers all around the world, to do something. Is that to try to give free school to all the kids all around the world. That's my dream, and I hope this will happen because it will change a lot of things in the world.
Okay, Mark, thank you very much for translating. Mudije, thank you very much for talking us through your thoughts on the education report.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I tell you what, we're just going to wander back over here to speak to Dr. Sakina Yakubi once more. We had lots of comments. We didn't get through them all earlier, but Dr. Yakubi's very kindly agreed to stay on a little bit longer and answer some of those. Dr. Yakubi, we're just going to step over here slightly so that we've got a slightly nicer background for you, the London skyline, before it starts raining. I just wonder what you make of this comment that came from Lynette, saying school is just an indoctrination factory anyway. Best education is homeschooling with internet materials.
Well, this is very interesting to say. First, AIL started homeschooling. During the Taliban, we had 80 homeschool inside Afghanistan, which the girls were not allowed to go to school. And those students are today lawyer, engineer, doctor in Afghanistan, and I am so proud of them. Homeschool is very important. Yes, that is possible. We can have a homeschool, but today is a technology day. Today is an age of internet. Today is something that we want to really reach out and to be equal to other parts of the world. We do not want to stay behind. We keep our culture, we keep our tradition, but update them, upgrade them with technology, with advanced science. And so those technology and advanced science, if we want to bring it home, we could not do it at home as that. Yes, we could teach life skill at home, which is very important. That is one of the reasons that AIL is trying to combine holistic approach. Holistic approach means that you bring life skill, you bring education, you bring health, you bring capacity building, you bring awareness, you do all those things together, combined together. So homeschool is good, it is very effective, but if we really want to build our nation, we could not just do with homeschool. And why is that the third world country always look into it that it's good, primary, secondary education is good enough for them. That's enough. We are not anymore want just primary, secondary education. We want to go tertiary, we want to go behind that. Our people are smart, intelligent, our women are brilliant. And so why should not we give them opportunity to compete with the other part of the world?
Yeah, on that point, Mehdi, thank you very much for your question, Mehdi, says, should all education be free? I just wonder, how realistic do you think it might be to have up to university education being completely free?
I think that education should, part of it, the basic education should be free, but then also the education should be given to people and to pay for it, to appreciate it. But if there are students, for example, AIL right now has 4 private schools. Each private school, the students pay a fee, and that they run by itself. It's sustainable. But then the same time in each school we have 200, 150 students who are in scholarship free, coming, sitting side by side. We say this is like profit for non-profit. Students who pay for the fee, they also have students who are just in full scholarship sitting and taking the same education. Please do not take me wrong that education should be charged while the students are poor and in poverty. I think that we should take it into consideration that pay scholarship for the one who could not do it and ask the one who could pay it to pay a fee, because they appreciate it and they helping the nation, they helping their system. Because if we put everything in the head of the government doesn't have the capacity, the government doesn't have the money. How we are expecting to get the quality education from the government? We could not. So we all collectively must work together to bring a good educational system that it impact and it's everybody learn from it.
Okay. Just bringing some more of the comments. Trad says hello from South Carolina in the United States. Trad, hello to you too. Sophia makes the point, says having these goals with the target set of 2042 is too far away.
Well, education is a long-term process. Education is not overnight accomplished. I am working in education for 25 years. Now I see the impact of it. We have reached 13 million, but if we work hard on it, if we work collectively, 24 years is not that long, we can accomplish. But one thing also, everything that we see, the young people are our future, and we wait for them to the next year or 10 years from now. But we should do right this moment, anything we could start. We start and we keep going and we accomplish things. That's what I believe.
We mentioned, but just in case you're joining us, we're talking about the UNESCO report on education, improving education around the world, especially in countries where the provision is not so good at the moment. We're talking to Dr. Sekana Yacoubi, who is involved in the report, also involved with the Afghan Institute of Learning. That's the acronym you may have heard her mentioning a few times, AIL, Afghan Institute of Learning. Mehdi, someone we mentioned earlier actually, Malala Yousafzai, who is synonymous with the cause of global education, in particular for girls. Mehdi wants to know what you think about Malala and the work she's doing and her experience.
I think that she is fantastic. She is brave, younger, and she did a wonderful job. But also I want to remind the world that everybody could not be Malala. She had protection. She was protected. As a matter of fact, a lot of young people right now want to be Malala, that they will be killed on the spot, and because they don't have no protection, they don't have a family to protect them, they come from poor area, they want to show up and they be Malala, but unfortunately they don't have the protection. So it's wonderful. I really appreciate. I love her. As a matter of fact, I met her many times. I met her father, and she is a wonderful, smart young woman. But I think that we also must protect children, because they are still they are too vulnerable, and they are getting right and left being violated because of this issue.
I just want to finish with a comment from Karen, who says, I homeschooled all 3 of my kids. She says, I feel parents can teach their children so much. Karen, thank you very much for making that point. A very good point. And it's something that the report goes to, doesn't it? The importance of maintaining cultures and traditions, and perhaps is that something for the education system, or is that where parents and home education comes in?
That is one thing that also the educational system that right now we are implementing. We are involving parents, we are involving community, we are involving children, we involving teacher. So the combination of all together, it's make the best education. But Karen, I don't know where she come from, but all the parents are not educated. As a matter of fact, children have problem with their homework because their parents could not help them. There are parents in the field that they do not know how to accounting, and now we are teaching children how to use the telephone, and they go home and they teach their parents how to do the mathematics. So it depends on which parents are you talking. If a parents could not read by themselves, how they could help their children?
Okay, very good point, Dr. Sekana Yacoubi.
Really
thank you very much. Thanks for talking to us.
Thank you for inviting me here, and thank you for the wonderful audience who asked questions. I really appreciate that very, very much. Please do not forget Afghanistan. Afghanistan is has a very smart people. Children are the same as children anywhere in the world, but right now Afghanistan is very suffering a lot because of the war, because of the a lot of trouble in Afghanistan. But please keep us in your prayer, and please help us to really reach out to our goal, which is education to bring peace. Thank you.
Okay, Dr. Yacoubi, thank you very much. And I suppose quite an interesting point that we finish on there, Dr. Yacoubi was making, that yes, we often think about education, parents teaching the children, but some examples, of course, of when it works the other way. children teaching their parents. So
Yeah.
worth remembering that. And thank you very much for watching this Facebook Live. Thank you for all the comments and the questions. We're trying to get through as many as possible. If we didn't get to yours, I'm sorry, but hopefully next time. Thanks for watching.